The future of religious extremism is not the future of al-Qaeda or ISIS, both of which are significantly diminished from their peaks. It is the future of the conditions that produce organizations like al-Qaeda and ISIS, the grievances, the ideologies, the social dynamics, and the structural vulnerabilities that enable small groups of people to mobilize mass violence in the name of the sacred. Those conditions are not improving. Climate change is producing resource conflicts and mass displacement. Technological change is producing economic disruption and identity crisis. Democratic backsliding in dozens of countries is closing the political channels through which grievances can be addressed peacefully. The intersection of these trends with existing religious and ethnic tensions creates the conditions for the next wave of religious extremism, which may look very different from the jihad that dominated the post-9/11 period. Several emerging threats deserve particular attention. First, the rise of far-right extremism in Europe and North America. Research by the Institute for Strategic Dialogue and others has documented that far-right extremism, including white nationalist, anti-Muslim, and anti-Semitic movements, is growing in organizational sophistication, geographic spread, and operational capacity. The Christchurch attack, the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting, and the January 6 Capitol assault all reflected a form of political violence that draws on religious and civilizational narratives as much as political ones. Second, the spread of religious nationalism in India, where the Hindutva movement has moved from fringe politics to mainstream governance, producing significant intercommunal violence. Third, the spread of Christian nationalism in the United States and Brazil, where evangelical Protestantism has become intertwined with authoritarian political movements in ways that echo the history of extremist religious politics elsewhere. The data on emerging threats is concerning. The Global Terrorism Index, published annually by the Institute for Economics and Peace, recorded a 700% increase in far-right extremist violence in the United States between 2013 and 2018. In Europe, far-right extremism accounted for the majority of terrorism-related arrests in several countries by 2019. At the same time, jihadist extremism has not disappeared, it has dispersed. Al-Shabaab controls territory in Somalia. Islamic State affiliates operate in West Africa, the Sahel, Mozambique, and Afghanistan. The Global Terrorism Database records continuing high levels of terrorist activity in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Nigeria, and Pakistan. The geographic spread of terrorism, from a phenomenon concentrated in a few countries to a genuinely global one, represents a significant expansion of the problem, even as the organizational capacity of the major jihadist organizations has declined. The lesson of the future of hate is that prevention requires imagination. The threats that will most affect the next generation are not simply continuations of current trends, they will be shaped by technologies, political events, and social dynamics that are difficult to predict. What we can predict with confidence is that any society that tolerates significant levels of social inequality, political exclusion, and cultural humiliation will generate extremist movements. What we can also predict is that those movements will use whatever tools are available, and the tools of the 21st century, including artificial intelligence, encrypted communications, and social media, give even small groups of motivated individuals unprecedented reach and impact. Effective prevention requires not just counter-terrorism capability but investment in the social and political conditions that make terrorism less appealing, a goal that requires decades of sustained commitment and is easily disrupted by short-term political cycles. Thank you for watching The Shadow of Extremism. Sources and references are on screen. Subscribe to follow the full series.